So, in number 3, it's talking about you are running to your car and it's raining really hard, and your cell phone falls into a huge puddle. So that's no fun. It says when you get home, you find that it has stopped working. Putting it into a bag of rice for 2 days doesn't even help, so you can't get it to work. And so you decide to find a new phone, and then you have to, unfortunately, get a different cell plan because of the way that your plan worked. Okay, so you check out the different plans they have. All right, so it says all told charges $200 for a new phone and has a monthly rate of $40 for unlimited minutes. So monthly rate means you're paying it per month. Talks a Bunch charges $50 for the phone and a monthly fee of $55. And then Horizon gives you a free phone but charges $80 per month. All right. So what if they had, because a lot of cell phone companies have, like, you have to have the plan for so long in order for you to get the phone. And so what if they, for instance, had a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract or a 6-month contract? Which cell phone plan would be the best? And so you're going to create your equations and you're going to compare the values of each. All right. So if we get all told, so I'll just put an A for all told, then how much would it be? Well, it says that you have to pay $200 for the phone. So that's how much you would pay initially to get the phone. And then it has a monthly rate of $40. So if you wrote the equation, and I'm going to write it how we're used to seeing it now, you would be paying $40 per month. And then you would have had to pay $200 initially. Okay. All right. Well, what if you got the Talks a Bunch plan? Well, I'm going to put a T for the Talks a Bunch. You have to pay $50 for the phone, and then it has a monthly fee of $55. So that would be $55 per month plus the initial fee of $50 for the phone. Okay. And then you have Horizon. Horizon, you get the phone for free, so you don't have to pay the initial fee, but they charge you $80 a month. So that's a significant difference than the other cell phone plans. Okay, so let's figure out which plan would be the best depending on which contract they make you get. So if they make you get a 1-year contract, then how much would you have to pay? Well, remember, these are in months. So then you have to figure out what it is in months. So 1 year we had discussed is 12 months. So I'm going to plug a 12 into each of these equations. So when I do that, for the all told plan, it would end up being $600 or $680 total that you'd have to pay. For the Talks a Bunch plan, I ended up getting $710 after I plugged in my 12. And then for the Horizon plan, it ended up being $960 after a year. Okay, so if you were forced to get a 1-year contract where you have to actually keep that plan for the whole year, which would be the best? And so if you look, it looks like all told would be the best plan if you have to get the 1-year contract. Okay, so all told would be the one that you want to get. Well, what if you have to have it for 2 years? Well, that would be 24 months. So you go in and you plug in 24. And so after I plugged in 24 for each M, I ended up getting these values. So if this would be how much you would have to pay after 2 years on each plan. Well, which one would be the best value? And it looks like comparing them all told is actually the best in that situation too. Well, what if you only had to get a 6-month contract? So that's not as long. Well, that it's in months. So you just plug in your 6 in for M in each of these. And so when I did that, this is how much I'd end up paying on each plan. Oh, after 6 months. And so all I did is I plugged in 6 for M in each equation. Okay, so which would be the best plan if I only had to get the plan for 6 months? Well, notice the cheapest one here is actually Talks a Bunch. So if I did not have to get a very long contract, Talks a Bunch looks like it would be the best. Okay, so just some other relating to what we've been talking about. Notice the y-intercepts here and these problems were how much you were putting down for the phone. And then the slopes in these problems was how much you're paying per month on each plan. Okay. Something else that they might ask you in these problems is they'll ask you to describe the domain and range. And so we're going to talk about that. Domain is like your X values. What does the X represent in that problem? And another way of talking about that is like these are your input values. And so they're going to ask you what is your domain in the problem? And so it's whatever, like think about what we were doing here to find these numbers. We had to plug in however long we were going to have the plan for. And so whatever you were plugging into the equation is your domain. And so in these problems, we were plugging in however many months we had it. So the domain in this problem would be the months that we have the plan. Okay, so describe it in months. It would be the number of months. So I'll put number of months you have the plan, whichever plan you choose. Okay, so then the range, these are like your Y values. These are your outputs in the problem. So it's kind of like, what answer are you getting? What are you plugging this in for? Well, notice we were plugging stuff into this equation because the equation told us how much we'd have to pay for each plan. So what we were getting out of these equations, our output, was how much we would end up paying in total after so many months. And so whatever your output is, whatever you're getting out of these equations, what the equation is telling you is your range. And so in these problems, it was telling us the total that we would have to pay, or the total paid for the plan that we get. So the range would be the total paid for the plan. Okay, so domain is whatever your X values are representing. Range is whatever your Y values are representing, or what you're getting out of the equation. Okay, so that's something else they might ask you. Right, so let's look at this question. It says, how many months would you have to have your phone with the Talks a Bunch plan to cost the same as the All Told plan? Okay, well, if it's asking how many months would you have to have one phone for it to cost the same as another plan, you're actually seeing when those two equations would be equal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Talk a Bunch equation, which is the 55M plus 50, and I'm going to actually set that equal to, so it's saying when would this plan cost the same as the All Told plan. So I'm going to set it equal to the All Told equation, which is that right there. And then I'm going to solve that equation. So how do you solve that equation? Well, you've got to get your m's on the same side. So I'm going to subtract my 40m from each side. And when I do that, 55 minus 40, I get 15m. And then I have my plus 50 equals, those go away, equals 200. And then from there, I would subtract my 50. So when I subtract my 50 from both sides, I have 15m equals 150. And then I have to divide by 15 on each side. And so m would end up being 10. So how many months would you have to have your phone for this plan to equal the same amount cost-wise as that plan? I'd have to have it for 10 months for me to be paying the same amount. And if they ask you how much would you pay, then you could just plug this 10 into either one of these equations, and it will tell you how much you'd pay. And so if I plug it into, for instance, This equation right here, it'd be 40 times 10 plus 200. And when I do that, I'd end up paying $600, okay, after 10 months.